context switching is I already had this topic idea scheduled months out. We've already written bullet points or an outline for the show. So I just open it up and I kind of go through the flow. But I would never create the topic, the outline, and record on the same day because it takes a different type of energy and commitment to showing up. Hey, it's Renee. Welcome to the Into the Wild Show, the podcast for women who want to build incredible mental strength to level up their business and lifestyle. I'm Renee Warren, the founder of We Wild Women, author, speaker, award-winning entrepreneur, and your host. Together, we will make you unapologetic about shining your light, growing your business, and turning you into a wildly confident and successful leader. This is for you, the visionary, the go-getter, the entrepreneur, and for those that need a real kick in the butt to get going and to dream bigger. Each week, I bring in leading experts and entrepreneurs to help you take leaps in the right direction, because I know the best advice comes from someone who has successfully done it before. So, are you ready to level up? Welcome to Into the Wild. Hey, you wild women. I am so excited because next week begins the month of Master Your Marketing Mindset series, where we invited a handful of incredible women, experts in pitching yourself to be on TV, SEO, affiliate, content, Instagram, social media, you name it. These incredible women have come together with me to have incredibly open, authentic, and transparent conversations about their expertise around those specific topics, all with the hopes of guiding you, motivating you, and inspiring you to be ready to market your business and yourself for 2024. It's weird. I was going to say for 2021. No. It's almost 2024. And why I say marketing yourself. I know some of you are backstepping or maybe pressing pause or deleting this episode right now altogether. Here's the reality about running a business today. You will be more successful if you build some sort of personal brand around your expertise, around you, than you would if you didn't. And here's why. The biggest thing is when you're pitching yourself to the media or you hire me to do this for you, journalists, podcast hosts, producers, editors, you name it, will go to your social media accounts. They will Google your name to find out if you're an authentic person, if there's any bad crap around your name or mentions of your business online. They want to know that you're the real deal. They want to know that you're articulate, that you put yourself out there. All of this are positive steps to building authority. So that's what this whole episode is about, is how to build your authority. So I got a few steps here, just jotted down some notes because I've been thinking about this. As you know, I run a PR agency called We Wild Women, and we pitch predominantly female entrepreneurs, but yes, we do have a handful of male entrepreneurs in our programs as well, on getting them in the media, getting them on podcast road shows. We also help with our VIP days, which have been incredibly beautiful for a handful of incredibly talented female entrepreneurs and male entrepreneurs as well. All this to say is that when you are marketing your business, one thing that we often forget to do, and which is so important, is also to market ourselves. And I don't know, you can disagree with me, but here's what I genuinely believe is that the more you put yourself out there to showcase who you are, how credible you are in your industry, the work that you're doing, the lives that you're changing, the more the media will be open to interviewing you, or the more podcast hosts will be open to having you as a guest on their show. So here's what you need to do in order to build authority. The most important thing for you to know and to remember is that building authority takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. It's not just like go out, create this epic social media strategy and go to town on doing what will get you followers. Because while followers matter, at the end of the day, it's who's following you, the quality of your followers, whether that's your newsletter, whether that's on social media, whether that's in your community. That ends up being the most important metric. It's the quality of your followers. And what I mean by that is quality one is these people are your cheerleaders, right? These people are the ones that are clapping. They're giving you standing ovations when you achieve something. They're not the ones that are providing constant negative comments, because I look at some of these accounts, of which some are my clients, and they have a great following, great as in a lot of people. There's so many negative comments, and these aren't your cheerleaders. So the quality of your followers are directly proportionate to the quality of the likes and comments and sharing that you get. The other thing to note too is that follower count is significant because, as we know, journalists, podcast hosts, especially podcast hosts, they want to know that you're going to share the episode that they have with you using your social media accounts. They want exposure to your community. That's the reality of it. I know this because A, I pitch podcasts and I am a host, clearly. So I know the psyche of what it means to be a host. And to build that authority means that you're genuine, you're respectful, you're kind. The podcast host, the journalist, the editor, whomever it is not just another number. You cannot make them feel like just another number. The same goes for your team. You would never make your team feel like they're just another monkey doing the work in the back room or a cog in the wheel. They are humans with souls that have talent and they're working for you because they hopefully believe in your mission. So let's get to this. So building your authority. The number one thing is to know your audience. I know you're probably thinking, Renee, I know this, duh. But really, do you know your audience? So many people are afraid of niching down because they're afraid of not including a certain demographic or certain people. The reality is that the more you know your audience, and there is actual statistics on this, the more you know your audience, the more money you'll make. The more niche down you get, the more in depth and more deep you can go with those conversations with your customers and your audience, the more you will succeed. And I know I use Lori Harder as an example because she talks about this openly on her podcast, which I love. It's called In Pursuit of Happiness. She said, I don't know, this is a few months ago. She said that when she started niching down in terms of the type of content that she was sharing on her Instagram account, she was losing a lot of followers. But at the end of the day, it ended up being the quality of followers that came about, as well as the people that stayed were her cheerleaders. So she was losing, I think she said at one point, 1,000 followers a month on Instagram. That's a lot. That hurts. For me, that'd be a lot. But she knew that this was a long-term process, months in the making, years in the making. I think it took her a year or two to get to this point now where she's building quality followers and a quality audience because they're there for who she is and the content that she's delivering. So authority really comes from being authentic. And those are very close words. And there's probably some definition, some Latin words. They mean the same thing. And I don't doubt that they mean something very similar. But creating and building that authority is crucial in marketing yourself and marketing your business. The other thing too that people fail to do is not only to share their expertise, but everyone that I know is so shy to give away their good stuff because they don't want somebody to duplicate them. The reality is that no idea today, no thought today is a new thought or a new idea. So some people might claim, hey, you stole my framework or you stole my method. No, your method, your framework that you built was built off somebody else's work. And that's just the nature of the way that business is. You think about it. Henry Ford and Ford Company, as far as I know, isn't suing every single car manufacturer in the world. And maybe there were some instances, and I don't know. If you got this, please DM me on Instagram. Let me know. But as far as I know, there are many, many car manufacturers in the world that built off the foundation of what Ford built because they, quote, invented the vehicle. Same could be said for phones. BlackBerry is a perfect example. I went to Laurier University. All the business school graduates literally walked across the road and went to work for a company called Research in Motion, which was the company that started BlackBerry. We all know the story about BlackBerry. They've pivoted a cajillion times, laid off millions of people, not millions, but many, many people. And now they're producing, I think, hardware or maybe some software for phones and devices. Still a very relevant and useful company, but it's not what it is today because Apple came along. Apple came along and looked what BlackBerry was doing and said, hey guys, that's smart, but imagine a phone with no keyboard. No physical keyboard. I remember when the first iPhone came out, we thought, what an obscure concept that your keyboard is actually right on your screen. And so they built what Alexander Graham Bell built on the telephone, of which what Research in Motion built on creating a cellular phone that was a smartphone to what it is today. And now there's Android devices and you name it. So don't be afraid to share your expertise for fear of somebody duplicating your stuff. The reality is your idea might be great, but greatness isn't from the idea. Greatness is from the execution. You got it, the execution. So share your expertise, share some of your secrets, not all of the secrets, but share the good stuff. You got to get people thinking, gosh, she's giving this to me for free. Imagine what I get if I pay for it. And then it also establishes your credibility and, yes, your authority. So the other thing you need to do to build your authority is to create a content calendar. In the PR space, we look at stuff that's happening at minimum 3, 6, 12 months out. And we create these things called workback schedules. You need to outline the content that you're going to be creating and promoting for at least the next 3 months. This is important because it allows you to not be reactive and rushing to create content. It allows you to be proactive. And so if you don't have stuff scheduled for the next couple of weeks, I urge you to look a minimum 3 weeks out from today to create some sort of calendar or schedule for the content that you're going to create. This could be for podcasts, for your social media, for your newsletter, for your blog, whatever it is that you're doing to share your content. Look what's happening in 3 months. Now, I actually have content calendars. I have media list templates that you can use that have this stuff in it. Please, all you got to do is direct message me on Instagram, Renee, RENEE _ Warren, WARREN, and I will get you that content. So make sure when you're doing this, build it out for at least 3 months. This makes it easier for you to create that content because it's relevant content to things that you're doing, to announcements that you're making, launches that are happening. The next thing to do to make that process easier to build your authority is to separate your content planning from your content execution. So because this requires different levels of thinking, right? It's called context switching. And so Mondays, which is actually a Monday, I'm actually recording a solo episode on Monday. Usually it's on the weekend. But context switching is, I already had this topic idea scheduled months out. We've already written bullet points or an outline for the show. So I just open it up and I kind of go through the flow. But I would never create the topic, the outline, and record on the same day because it takes a different type of energy and commitment to showing up. Previous to this recording, I recorded a couple ads as well as some other podcast assets that my team needed because I needed to chunk it all together. This allows me to do really great work and I'm not stressing creating this stuff last minute. The other thing to note about how to build authority is a method called ABC, always be curious. Build your knowledge and trust the process from there, right? Yearn for more. Don't just read one business book and put it down and think you know everything about business because of that one business book. Frameworks evolve, methods evolve, values evolve, belief systems evolve. There's new information, as we know today, even from yesterday, from 2 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, that's going to make you a better person, leader, and entrepreneur. So always be curious. Just because you do something a certain way today isn't necessarily the right way to do it tomorrow. When I work with people, whether they're employees or freelancers or contractors, when I'm training them to do certain processes, one of the first things I say to them is this: just because I'm teaching you that this is the way that we do it, it's not necessarily the most productive or efficient way to do this work. While going through this process, if you find ways to save time or money, please let me know, produce the information, pitch me the idea, and let's go from there. Because I know, because I have some templates and processes that we've created 3 years ago that could probably be completely obsolete by now or could be replaced by AI. And I don't want to replace people in my business. No, I want to produce the best quality content, the best services for my clients, leveraging the unique expertise of my team. And if it means that they're saving time doing one thing here and spending an extra $20 because they're using a monthly software, whatever it is knowing where you can leverage your time, guess what? Helps you to build authority because you're listening to this probably because you're really, really good at something. And that means you're really, really good, not good at a lot of things. And wherever you can create efficiencies and more productivity in your business, do that. Yes, it costs money, but the money is, get this, you know this book my husband wrote, Buy Back Your Time. And it's not some sort of facetious thing. It's not some sort of entitled thing. Everybody has the opportunity to buy back their time. The other thing too, to build your authority, which talk about taking time, is crafting the ultimate pitch. Most of my clients come to me because this is where they suck. And they know they suck and they don't have the time to sit down and write some crazy, amazing pitch about them. And this is the stuff that I love to do so much because I pull out the unique angles and the unique stories that my clients have that they don't even know that they have. However, if it's not something that's on your roster for next year to do PR or in the coming months, here's what I urge you to do is think about 3 to 4 unique angles that you have about your story, the reason why you started your business, or something that's really interesting. and craft your pitch. Now, this pitch I'm talking about is, we'll say, an email pitch to either a podcast host or to a journalist. Pitches are supposed to be short, punchy, attractive, have no attachments, one link. It's a challenge. I call it word math because you have to take all your expertise and all these cool things that are happening in your business and boil it down to less than 200, less than 250 words with bullet points. It's tough. For every single client I've worked with that are on retainer, I think the average number of pitches that we've cycled through is about 12. If we pitch a handful of podcast hosts or journalists, they don't get back to me, we tweak the headline or we tweak the pitch. We do something because we know that that one thing is not working. It's an art. It really is. But when you craft that ultimate pitch, it ends up becoming an inspiration for you for content, for podcast episodes, for social media, blog posts, you name it. The other thing that is so important to build authority, and this is probably a duh moment when I say this, but always show up. Now, I might be a hypocrite saying this now because I just took 4 days off, really technically off of social media. I just searched DMs, or I paid attention to my DMs because sometimes I use DMs for connecting with friends or for sales, but I wasn't really posting much content because I just needed a little break. And there is a correlation between taking a break and being successful. However, the always showing up part is this, is the moments when you know you need to be there. When absolutely hands down, you need to be there to build your authority. Those are the moments you show up, and those are the moments that matter the most. For example, me, it was today, Monday morning. I had to drive my parents to the airport, got up at 3:45, and I drove them at 4. And I felt good when I was driving there. But on the way home, I was like, you know what? I'm really tired. Like, not just tired from lack of sleep, but tired like I feel like I'm getting sick. And I had plans to go back to work and then go to CrossFit at 6 a.m. and do all these things. And I tuned into my intuition, which told me, no, Renee, go back to bed. So I did. Canceled CrossFit, went back to bed for an hour, and I woke up and my sleep score went up by like 5 to 6 points. I can't even remember. It was enough to be like, okay, this is the level I need to be at. I knew I needed to recuperate. So that was telling me, though, my body needed rest. However, my mind was like, Renee, you got to show up. You got to do your CrossFit. You got to pitch these journalists. You got to pitch these podcast hosts. You got to write and craft pitches and do all these things on my to-do list. I would have absolutely sucked today if that's the first thing I did when I got back from driving my parents to the airport. I would have sucked. And here's why. I was exhausted physically, emotionally, mentally. Like my parents, I don't get to see them very often. So it was sad watching them go, and just got back from travel. And I had really bad vertigo for 2 weeks and finally getting better. So like all these things were kind of compounding, and I just needed an extra hour of sleep. That extra hour translated into so many missed opportunities for me because I needed rest, which meant no gym, no pitching. However, I got a workout in when my body was ready for it. And I have pitched some incredible pitches to podcast hosts for some of my clients this afternoon, of which I've never would have gotten to. So when I say always show up when people are relying on you to be there. It doesn't mean like do 18 stories on Instagram a day, produce a TikTok, and have so much volume that it's driving you crazy. Always showing up is show up when people need you. If you're a parent, it means your kids. Show up when your clients need you, when your business needs you, but also know rest is equally as important. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with in terms of building your authority, there's so many other things, but this is a good running list because here's what I know after doing this for about 13 years and pitching thousands of people and getting some massive wins, is that the clients and customers and friends that I see doing this that have been the most successful in building their authority are the ones that are the most vulnerable. The most vulnerable people. They share their stories that make them great. They share the stories that make people relate to them. I want to tell you a story about my friend Jen Gottlieb. She is the co-founder of Super Connected Media, and now she's a motivational speaker, and she's crushing the stage. She's a beautiful woman. I had her on my podcast. I can't remember what episode it was. And we had an incredible conversation. But here's what I love about Jen and what solidified my respect for her. Jen has a beautiful body, and of which she is very confident in wearing some things that might show a little more leg or a little bit more belly than other people, of which I admire incredibly. And she applied to be a speaker on certain stages. And she shares this publicly. This is not a story between just her and I. This is public, so I know I'm comfortable sharing this. But she got denied 2 speaking opportunities that I know of because they said, the events producers said, we just don't like the clothes that you wear. Like full on. They just said, we don't want you on our stage because of the outfits that you wear. And I could not believe that. I could not believe that they said no because maybe she showed her belly button or maybe she showed more leg than what some people would wear. And it was absurd because when she gets on that stage, she is fire. She has so much energy and she shows up with grace and she shows up with so much authority and conviction. When she shared that, I was so disgusted. And I could see in those moments could take most women, would stop them dead in their tracks and never apply to be a speaker at any event ever again. And she was vulnerable not only in those moments, but vulnerable also in sharing that story with everybody. Because, hey, there are people that publicly agreed, but there were more people that didn't. And I would say the ratio is like less than 1% publicly shared the fact that they agreed with the hosts or the event hosts for saying the clothes that she wore was inappropriate. This is her brand. This is her essence. It's her brand identity. What I love about Jen is she eats well. She works out. Clearly, she works out. She's an example of what it means to be a powerful woman because she takes care of herself. She's built this authority around this brand image that she's a beautiful woman. She's a sexy woman. She's a very successful woman. She's happily married. All these things going for her. Showing that vulnerability, though, now gives people like a deeper peep into her soul because now they're like, oh crap, these are the challenges that this smart, successful, beautiful woman faces. She is getting rejected. That makes people feel good. And I guarantee you this opened up so many more doors for her speaking at other events because she shared that vulnerability. Anyway, there are so many more things I can talk about how to build your authority, but these are just a handful. And if you can just start implementing some of these things into your daily or weekly practice, it is such a good step to more easily pitch you and get you on podcasts and journalists wanting to reach out and interview you and people following you on social media. If you want any more information on how to build your authority or hire somebody to do this for you, go to wewildwomen.com. That's wewildwomen.com to check out some of our programs. And don't forget, on October 25th, we are hosting a preloaded marketing year workshop for you to attend October 25th at 9 a.m. You can go to wewildwomen.com/workshop and sign up. I hope to see you there. So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Into the Wild. To make this girl happy and to help reach other women who are dreaming of starting their business, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and everywhere you listen in. Also, if you want to find me in the wild, check me out on Instagram at Renee_Warren. That's RENEE_WARREN. And leaving you with one of my favorite tips of all time. The best advice you could ever receive is from someone who has successfully done it before you. Until next time, ladies, peace out.